Akhil Rajaratnam here and welcome to today's daily news analysis. So today is April 10th and on this very date 108 years ago a silent yet powerful movement took root in a small district of Bihar. It was a revolution of truth and fearless resolve led by our own Mahatma Gandhi. In 1917 he stood up against the exploitation of the indigo farmers in Champaran. So though it started in a remote village, the impact of this particular movement rippled across the country. So let's take a moment to remember the occasion and kick off our session with a small quiz on this particular event. Okay. Alright. So very small quiz. So why is Champaran Satyagraha considered significant in Indian history? It was India's first independence war. It marked Gandhi's entry into Indian politics. It ended British rule in Bihar. It introduced political violence. Okay. So what is the correct answer? Very simple quiz only, just to mark this very significant occasion to whether you remember what is your knowledge regarding this particular event, what is the significance of this Champaran Satyagraha. Okay, so you can post your answers in the chat box. So by the end of the session, we'll again revisit the question and we'll be explaining the answer. Okay, all right. Before moving on to the topics, let me introduce you to our two important products. So first one is a 1-year prelims comes mains integrated course. This is for the aspirants who are aiming the 2026 examination, and next one is this 2-year prelims comes mains integrated course. This is for the aspirants who are aiming the 2027 examination. Okay, so the course overview will be, we have 800 plus hours of general studies and CSAT online classes will be there, and that 200 plus hours of current affairs classes will also be included, and we'll also have a strategic micro schedule so that this will be able to break down the syllabus easier and you'll be able to study it better. We'll have expert faculty for all the subjects, and obviously testing and training is also very much important in this course. So we'll have regular tests for both prelims as well as mains. Okay, so this is an overview of both of our courses. So moving on to our topic. So these are the five topics which I have taken for today's daily news analysis. Okay, so first one is related to the very important news from economy. So RBI has cut repo rates by 0.25% and also they have trimmed the GDP forecast also. Okay, so RBI's decision to cut this repo rate by 0.2% and also to stimulate the economic activity. So that is very much important. So we'll be discussing the basics, some basic what is repo rate and all those things also, and significance of this particular event also we'll be discussing in this. Okay. Next one is, will aviation disputes be easier to resolve? So this is from the text and context page of today's Hindu. So here we'll be discussing regarding the aircraft bill 2025. They have introduced a new bill has been introduced to streamline the dispute resolution in this aviation sector. So we'll be discussing what are the provisions of this bill and why this bill was introduced also. Okay. All right. Next one is related to the Arctic biome. Okay. So as per the present studies, it is said that Arctic biome has become, earlier Arctic biome was a carbon sink. Now it has become a carbon emitter. So we'll see how this shift has happened. Okay, so we'll discuss on this. Another one is center approves 63,000 crore deal for procuring 26 Rafale-M jets. Okay, so we'll discuss what is this Rafale-M jet, and center approves means who is actually approving. It is actually the CCS who is approving. So we'll discuss the functions of CCS and regarding this Rafale-M jet also. Okay, fifth article is related to the tariff war which is ongoing between the developing countries, or maybe most of the countries as well as United States. So now Trump has paused the tariffs by 90 days, but again he has slapped the China with 125% tariff. Okay, so this topic we have already covered in your past DNA. So this is actually the present update. Okay, so whatever tariff he has introduced, now he has just paused it. Okay, so that is the present update. So regarding the tariff, what are the details of the tariff and all, we have already discussed in our past DNA. Okay, so the link of that particular DNA will be posted in the comment box. Okay, you can click on that and you can visit that video. Okay, all right, moving on to first topic. This is related to the RBO's repo cut. Again, this is one of the most important news from today's all newspapers, whether it be Hindu or Indian, in every newspaper this is in the front page itself. Okay, so recently the Reserve Bank has reduced the repo rate by 25 basis points, bringing it down to 6% in an attempt to boost the economic growth and to ease the borrowing cost. Okay, so today's session will be breaking down this step by step. What is this repo rate and all these things will be discussing. Okay, this is very much important from the economy aspect. Okay, economy aspect. issues related to planning mobilization of resources. Both prelims as well as main set is very much important. Again, a previous year question related to the GDP growth which was asked in 2019. Do you agree with the view that the steady GDP growth and low inflation have left the Indian economy in good shape? Give reasons in support of your arguments. Okay, this is related to the, again, the very important topic related to economy, that is GDP growth. Okay. Alright, so let's begin with the basics itself. What is this repo rate? What is this repo rate? Let's start with the definition of repo rate itself. Okay, so basically repo rate is the interest rate at which RBI lends short-term money to this commercial bank. Okay, so RBI will be giving money to or lending this money to the commercial bank. So what will the bank giving in return? They'll be giving the RBI will be giving money and the banks will be giving government securities as a collateral. Okay, so this is how this repo rate is actually working. For example, you can think of it like banks are facing a cash crunch. Okay, we are facing a cash crunch. Where will we go? We'll go to the bank. Okay, so banks are facing a cash crunch. They cannot go to any other authority. Their higher authority is the RBI. So they go to RBI. RBI will lend the money at this particular rate. Okay, so this is the interest rate basically. So they'll lend the money at this particular repo rate and they'll be getting the money, and as a collateral they'll be giving the government security. Okay, so why is this important? Because it's one of the main tools the RBI uses to control a few things. One is inflation. One, obviously, to manage the liquidity. Liquidity means how much cash flow, how much cash flow is there in the economy. So that is liquidity, and also to control inflation, control the inflation, and also to influence the overall economic activity. So based on what is the repo rate of the present day, based on that only the economic activity will be booming. Okay, so this also we will be discussing. All right, so if repo rate is reduced, banks can borrow funds at a cheaper rate. So this is the catch point here. Okay, so what is happening here? So banks will be going to the banks are facing a cash crunch. Okay, so no money. So no money. So they'll be going to RBI. They'll be going to RBI and RBI will be giving them money or cash. Okay, so what they are actually giving as collateral, they are giving back government security. Government securities as collateral to RBI. So this is how the repo process is going on. Okay, so if the repo rate is reduced, the commercial banks can borrow more cheaply. Okay, so for example, if repo rate is 6%, sorry 6.2%, 6.2%, the RBI will the banks will be getting 1000 rupees. 1000 rupees. If it is 6%, they will be getting 1200. Okay, so like that way. So here they are getting more money. If the interest rate is less, means they are getting more money. This is a basic concept. Okay, I'm just giving a random example only. So for us, how is it going to benefit us? The result is more borrowing will be there. For us also, there will be more borrowing will be there, and their banks will also lower their interest rates. So for us also, we'll be able to charge. They'll be charging less only. Home loans will be cheaper, car loans will be cheaper, even business loans will be cheaper. So more borrowing will be happening, more spending will be happening, and more hopefully economic revival will also be happening. Okay. How will it impact the exchange rate? The exchange rate is not directly impacted by this repo rate changes. It's not impacted. Exchange rate is something which is happening in the forex market only. Okay. It's always better that there is economic activity is happening. If economic activity is happening, means everything will be under control. For example, like inflation will be under control. So that may even better the rupee depreciation also. If rupee depreciation is also getting better, means maybe it will indirectly affect this exchange rate also. Other than that, this repo rate change is not directly going to affect the exchange rate. Okay, Divya. Okay. All right. So again, okay. Well, I was saying like more borrowing will happening, more spending will be happening, and more car loans will become cheaper, business loans will become cheaper, home loans will become cheaper. Exchange rate is monetary policy or fiscal. Exchange rate is related to the, for example, exchange rate. $1 equal to 86 rupees. 86 rupees. So this is basically exchange rate. Okay. So if rupees appreciate, Rupees appreciating means $1 will become 80. This means rupees appreciating. $1 becoming 80 means rupees appreciating. Or $1 becoming 90 means rupees depreciating. $1 becoming 90 means rupees depreciating. This is something not directly related to exchange rate. Fiscal policy is something which is related to the how the government is actually spending. It has nothing. Fiscal policy also has nothing to do with this. What repo rate? Okay, fiscal policy is how the government is spending. This is related to this. Repo rate is mostly related to RBI only. Nothing to do with this thing. Okay. Okay. All right. So, who is actually deciding this repo rate? So, there will be a body which will be deciding the repo rate. Okay. So, who is deciding the repo rate? It is decided by the Monetary Policy Committee. The Monetary Policy Committee is a body which is responsible for setting this particular repo rate. So, what is this monetary policy? It's basically a statutory body. It's basically a statutory body. So, what do you mean by statutory body? Statute means it's basically a law. Any body which is being formed based on a law, that is known as a statutory body. So, here also there should be a law. Okay, so that law is RBI Act. RBI Act of 1934. RBI Act of 1934 is that particular set. So, based on this only, this Monetary Policy Committee has become a statutory body. Okay, so it's not basically based on the RBI Act of 1934 alone. In 2016, this Act was amended. Okay, 2016, this Act was amended. So, when this Act was amended, so at that time, this provision was also included in this Act. So, that is why this Monetary Policy Committee is becoming a statutory body. Okay, so who are the members of this Monetary Policy Committee? So, 3 members will be from RBI. 3 members will be from RBI, and which includes the governor of RBI. Which includes the governor of RBI. 3 will be appointed by the central government. Okay, let me ask you a question. Who is the present governor of RBI? You can post it in your chat box. Who is the present governor of RBI? Okay, all right. So, 3 from RBI including the governor. So, that will be from RBI, and 3 will be appointed by the central government. Okay, so this is how the composition of this Monetary Policy Committee is happening. Okay, and this MPC will be meeting every 2 months. The MPC will be meeting every Monetary Policy Committee will be meeting every 2 months. Why they are meeting? To review the inflation and growth data. Okay, to review the inflation data and growth means GDP data. In this particular session also there was a review in this GDP growth rate was also there. Okay, so this governor, he will be the chairperson. This governor will be the chairperson. So basically this chairperson won't be voting. Basically he is a chairperson only. So he will be coordinating the things. He won't be voting. But in case of a tie, he will be casting his vote also. Okay, so this is how this Monetary Policy Committee is working. They will be reviewing the inflation and the growth data that here. Okay, and they will be deciding the repo rate as well as the policy stance of the government. So what has RBI done recently? Okay, what is the present thing? I have already mentioned in the context itself. So as of now, they have cut the repo rate. As of now, they have cut the repo rate. Earlier it was 6.25. Earlier it was 6.25. So from 6.25, now they have cut 6. So this is how. So it's actually a difference. Sorry, it's actually a change of 25 basis point. Yes, it is decided by majority only. But in case there is a tie, the governor will cast a vote also. Okay, so there will be a in case of a tie, the governor will be casting a vote. Okay, so what do you mean by this basis rate? Any idea what is this basis rate? Basis points, or we call it as a BPS. BPS 25 BPS or basis points will be there. So basically basis point is here itself we can see that 25 basis point is 0.25 percentage. Okay, so from here itself it is clear only. So basis point is actually a unit of measurement which is equal to 1 by 100 of 1%. So 1 by 100 of 1%. So this is basically BPS. So BPS. Okay, so here we have cut a 25 basis points. So that is 0.25 percentage. So this is actually the change which they have made this time. Okay, all right. So basically, there's a very small change. To describe very small changes in this interest rates only. This basic point, not just for interest rate. I mean, not just for repo rate. Even for bond deals, it will be coming, or maybe other financial percentage also. This will be coming, and this is actually the second consecutive cut which RBI has made. Earlier also in the last MPC meeting also there was a what repo rate cut was also there. Okay, and also they have decided the policy stance also. Policy stance from neutral to accommodative. These are the terms which RBI will be using. Neutral to accommodative stance. So accommodative stance means RBI is open to cutting the rates further. If required, RBI will be cutting the rates further. So accommodative stance means RBI may reduce the policy rates to increase more money supply. More money supply in the economy means more activity, economic activity will also be boosted. Neutral stance means RBI would have the flexibility to either increase or decrease the policy rates. Okay, so by considering all this macroeconomic policy, RBI will be deciding it. They are actually open whether to increase or decrease the policy rate. Okay, so why this repo rate cut has been happening now? This is actually the second consecutive. So what is actually the reason behind this repo rate cut? Okay, so there are many internal issues are also there, otherwise global issues are also there. Okay, so in global level many things are happening, like the US China tariff war is happening. So global, there is a slowdown is happening in this, and trade tensions are happening in the global level, and also this is also causing a fall in the private investment also. Private, and again, fall in the private investment means obviously there will be weak consumer demand will be there. So obviously we need to encourage this economic activity. Okay, so global slowdown, that is actually decreasing the private investment. Again, that will be decreasing the economic activity. Okay, so this is how it was working. Okay, global slowdown, private investment will be reduced, and also economic activity will also be reduced. To address this particular issue only, RBI has come up with a what repo rate cut, so that more people will be getting more money will be given. Okay, another important thing which they have done is GDP growth forecast. Okay, they have revised the GDP growth forecast also. Earlier the GDP growth forecast was 6.7. GDP growth forecast will be deciding how the economy is growing. So earlier the forecast was 6.7. Now they have reduced it to 6.5%. Okay, so this is related to the GDP forecast. Okay, GDP forecast. So obviously all these things, considering all these things, it is intended to reduce the borrowing cost and encourage more spending, and obviously the economic growth will also be increased. Okay, all right. So yeah, what is the likely impact of this thing? For example, for different people it will be impacting in a different way. For borrowers it will be different, for depositors it will be different, for businesses it will be different. So like that way it will be different for different people. Okay, so for borrowers, how is this going to affect for the loan borrowers? Loan borrowers mean they have already taken it for a EMI. For example, the home loan they have taken it for 12% or maybe 15% EMI. So now that will be reduced. Okay, so now that will be reduced and new loans may become even more cheaper. So more people will be taking loan, so that will be boosting the economic activity. Okay, so this is going to happen here. Reduction in their EMI, equated monthly installments, will be happening. And also for depositors it is not a good time for depositors. For example, the banks may even reduce FD. FD rate. Okay, banks will be putting this FD rate will be there. Right? For example, for 1 year, you'll be getting maybe 7% FD will be there. 7% interest rate will bank will be giving you the money. 7% will be given. Now they will be reducing this. Now instead of 7%, they will be giving you maybe 6.5% only. So if you are depositing in the bank, if you are depositing fixed deposit in the bank, then you are under loss. Okay, so it will be creating lower returns only. Okay, and for businesses, again, it's like for the borrowers only. They'll also have easier access to this cheaper capital will be there, and that will also boost the sectors. For example, like important sectors like real estate will be there, automobile sector will be there. Sectors like real estate, these are the booming sectors. Real estate, automobile and all, it is going to, real estate, automobile and all, it is going to give a better boost. But anyway, we have to be careful also. If inflation rises or if the rupee weakens, then foreign investors may be pulling out. So then the benefits may be neutralized. Okay. So what RBI has to do is they have to balance the growth as well as the inflation. Okay. It should not be very high. The repo rate should not be very high. It should not be very low also. Okay. So then there will be kind of this cyclical change will happen. Like I've said, even if it is not directly affecting this foreign exchange also, maybe this can cause even unemployment, all these things it will be affecting. So RBI's its primary goal is monetary policy or maybe the price stability, but RBI also has a secondary goal also, like supporting growth is also. Okay, so if growth is affected, means everything else will also be affected. So that thing is also there. So they have to keep it in mind. Uh, the rate cuts that should be helping the growth also, and if inflation becomes a problem later, we have to act again. Okay, so this is what RBI has to keep in their mind. Okay, moving on to the next article. Again, this is related to a very important bill which was introduced by the Parliament. So Parliament passed a landmark aviation law last week, protection of interest in aircraft objects bill, protection of interest in aircraft objects bill 2025. Again, these kinds of acts are also very much important for your uh, examination. Okay, so what is a big issue here? Why they have introduced this? We'll be again anyway we'll be discussing this in detail. So I'll give you an example. Imagine you are leasing a car. Leasing means you are giving it to someone for a payment. Leasing a car to someone. So after some time they stop paying you. So you try to take it back, but the local laws and the courts are delaying your claim, and that is getting delayed not for maybe 1 month, 2 months. It is getting delayed for the years also. Okay, so this is what this is the issue. This is the core of the issue. So that's what international losers were facing in India, especially in the aircraft industry. They have leased expensive aircraft to the Indian Airlines, but they couldn't repossess them easily when the aircraft defaulted in the payment. Okay, so very simple thing only. You are leasing your car or maybe your property to someone else, but after they defaulted in their payment, you will have to take it back, but the local laws are not allowing. Okay, so this is a major issue which is happening with the international leases who are leasing the aircraft to the local players. Okay, so this is the main reason why we have introduced this bill. Okay, so what does bill do? What is actually the purpose of this bill? Got it. A previous year question in this regard. Again, this is also related to the international civil aviation law only. International civil aviation laws provides all countries complete and exclusive sovereignty over the airspace above their territory. What do you understand by airspace? What are the implications of these laws on space above this airspace? Discuss the challenges which this poses and suggest ways to contain the threat. Okay. All right. So we'll see the provisions of the. We'll see what is this bill and what are the provisions of this bill. Okay. So basically, this law creates a dedicated legal framework which was absent earlier. So now we have a dedicated. Sorry, once this bill is getting passed, we will be having a dedicated legal framework to protect the rights of the international leasers. So who's a leaser? Leaser is actually a person who leases or let a property lends a property to another person. So basically we can say that he is kind of a landlord. Okay, so in this context of airplanes, a leaser is a company or entity that owns an aircraft. So they'll be owning an aircraft and they'll be lending it to a local player in India, so that they will be operating the aircraft or operating the aircraft for a specific period. And what are these leases getting in return? They will be getting the payment, like a rent, they will be getting the payment. So this is how the system was working in India. Okay, so as of now, you know the issue. What is the issue? These the people who have bought this aircraft, so they are not paying them back, not paying this leaser back, and they are not able to take their aircraft back also. This is a major issue. Okay, so once this law is coming into being, it will ensure that the faster repossession of this aircraft that is going to happen, and also this is aligning with the aligning this Indian law with the global standards also. Okay, so the global standard is a Cape Town Convention and Protocol. It's a Cape Town Convention and Protocol. So based on this only, the international level, these laws are being framed, and India also has to align with that. Okay, so based on this, they have some rankings and all. So if a country is not having that kind of a law, the rankings will be going down. Okay, so this is the purpose of this bill. So regarding this Cape Town Convention and Protocol, again, these kind of conventions are also very much important for this UPSC, especially the prelims perspective. It is very much important. Okay, so Cape Town Convention and Protocol. So what is this Cape Town Convention and Protocol? This is basically an international treaty. International treaty. It was adopted by this organization. It's a specialized agency of the United Nations, International Civil Aviation Organization. Okay, so this was adopted in 2001. The treaty was adopted in 2001. So India is also a signatory of this treaty. India has signed the treaty in 2008. But after signing the treaty, what you have to do? You have to pass a domestic law to implement it. Okay, so we didn't have a domestic law till now. No, no domestic law. No domestic law to ensure that this treaty is being in practice. Okay, so this is what is this is related to this Cape Town Convention. What this treaty is doing, it standardizes and governs a international interest. Okay, so different countries will be having different interests will be there. So now they are actually standardizing it, standardizing all these things related to the aircraft industry. Okay, so India has signed it, and now India is not having a law that soon will be having also. Okay, so what does this convention do? It protects both the creditors as well as the leases. Sometimes the leases will also be more arrogant, or maybe their payments will also be an issue. So at that time, it will protect the creditors also. So when these creditors are defaulting, at that time it will be protecting the leases also. Like that, it will be taking in consideration of the interest of both these parties, giving them both legal remedies in this kind of conflict. Okay, if they want repossession, that will also be done. So like that way. Okay, and one of the reasons why India introduced this law is to align with the this Cape Town Convention and the protocol only. Okay, so we'll see what are the provisions of this law, technical provisions of this law. One is DGC. DGC means the Directorate General of Civil Aviation. Okay, so this DGC is the authority which is controlling everything related to the aircraft industry in India. Okay, so this is what is this law will be making DGC as a registry authority of this particular bill. Okay, of this particular bill. It's an official registry, and it will register both. It will not just register, but will deregister also. This defaulting is happening. It will deregister also. Deregister the aircraft also, and it maintains a record of this lease dues, and it ensures that there is a compliance with this Cape Town Convention, and this gives DGCA more edge, or maybe we can say more to more power to have do these things in this also. Okay, and also faster repossession rights for the leases. If something is happening, they are defaulting, means they'll be getting it as soon as possible. Okay, so that's also one of the things. And also sometimes other Indian laws will be like the example which I have quoted earlier. For example, even if they have the legal right to repossess this aircraft, or maybe even if you are renting a car, you have the legal right to repossess that car, but say local laws will not be accepting it, because local laws will be favoring the other party. Okay, so at that time these leases will be under threat. Okay, here what this is doing is that overriding clause is also there. So this if any Indian law conflicts with this particular bill, or this bill. For example, mostly it will be the insolvency and bankruptcy code. So at that time, this bill or this law will be will take precedence. Okay, so that is very important because this has already happened. Earlier we had the case of Kingfisher, this Vijay Mallya case was there, and also another airlines like Go Fast 2023 there was a case regarding Go Fast. So at that time, this insolvency and bankruptcy code was protecting the other party. So at that time, the leases were under they were under the disadvantage. Okay. All right. So this is related to that. So why this bill was needed? Legal uncertainty for the leases, to avoid the legal uncertainty for the regions, so that the patch implementation can be disregarded. So that is another thing. Mostly the conflict with the Indian insolvency law. So that can also be avoided, and also poor compliance rating. For example, this global ratings will be there, like Cape Town Convention Compliance Index. There is something known as Cape Town Convention Compliance Index. So this is actually issued by this aviation working group. So they will analyze how the countries are faring in terms of this laws, how the countries are faring in terms of this rights for the leasers, creditors, and all. So based on that, they'll be analyzing the score. Okay. So as of now, we were having a very poor score, very poor score. But after the bill, we can see that the score has improved to 62. Score has increased to 62. Okay, score of 90 plus is needed to match those global leaders in this aviation society. For example, the most important players are like Singapore will be there, Ireland will be there. So these are some of the important players. Okay. All right. Moving on to next topic. This is related to the Arctic biome. What is happening in the Arctic biome? So before moving on to this, let's begin with a big question. Big question. So what happens when the Earth's biggest natural carbon storehouse start releasing the carbon? Natural carbon storehouse means that it will be storing all the carbon. All the carbon, it will be helping in curbing the global warming. Suddenly, all of a sudden, what will happen? All the stored carbon that is getting released to the world. So this biggest carbon sink is now acting as a biggest carbon emitter. Okay, so what will imagine this picture? Okay, this is exactly what is happening with this area, and that is a Arctic boreal zone. We call it as a ABC, Arctic boreal zone, or we call it as a ABC. Okay, this is what happened. This is something which is being put forward by the new study. All right, a previous year question in this regard. How do the melting of Arctic ice and glaciers of Antarctic differently affect the weather patterns and human activities of the Earth? Explain. Okay, so it's a previous year question in this regard, similar to this climate change and all these things only. Okay, so again, related to this was actually based on a 2025 study uh, in the Nature Climate Change, journal Nature Climate Change. So there it is said that around 30% of this ABC, Arctic boreal zone, has become a net carbon emitter. That's a very dramatic reversal. The role has been reversed. This is what has happened. Okay, so we'll start with what is this region itself. Arctic boreal zone. Okay, what is this Arctic boreal zone? Okay, so basically this Arctic boreal zone, it's a very high altitude forest. High altitude forest. So where is this forest located? It is in the Arctic Circle. It encircles the Arctic region. It encircles the Arctic region. So high altitude, high latitude means it will be primarily between 50° north to 70° north. You know, right? Just like this, we have equator here, and we have this polar here. Okay, so this is basically the Arctic region, Arctic Circle region. Okay, below we have the Antarctic is also there. Antarctic, Arctic is there. Okay, so here the issue is happening here only. Okay, so what is the significance of this region, and what is the geographical spread of this region? So Arctic Circle means which all countries will be there. The most important countries, one is US, the part of US will be there. Okay, it's not exactly the US, but it's a Alaskan region of the US. Alaska is one of the that region province of this US. Okay, so Alaskan region of this US is also coming in the region, and also very importantly the Canada region will be coming. Okay, these are some of the two important areas, and other than that we have the Scandinavian countries like Norway, Sweden, Finland will be there, And here in this part we have Russia is, or northern part of Russia is coming. The Siberian region is also coming. Okay, so what are the key features of this Arctic region, Arctic boreal zone? It is a world's largest biome. It's a world's largest biome. Okay, so this we call it as a taiga region, maybe the taiga forest. Taiga, okay, world's largest biome. Taiga. Okay, so taiga means it will be having its own unique plants will be there, animals will be there. So like that it will be there. For example, if you come to the equator region, we can see this kind of a very unique kind of a plants, animals will be there. If you come to India, you will have tigers, all these things will be there. But if you go to north, you will have only this polar bears. So every region will be having, every this ecological zone will be having its own species will be there. So this will be predominantly dominated by the coniferous forest. Okay, coniferous forest. This taiga biome will be predominated by the coniferous forest, like pines, spruces will be there, larches will be there. So like that. Okay. And another important feature of this is this contains extensive permafrost layer. What is this permafrost layers? Permafrost means permanently frosted. Permanently frosted. So permanently frost means it's a frozen ground. It has been frozen for a long period of time. So that is permafrost layers. So that is also one of the important features of this. So under this only the this carbon will be trapped. Okay, so that's why it is acting as a uh, carbon. That's why it was acting as a carbon sink. And also regarding the climate, obviously it's in the Arctic, so it will be cold. So winters will be long and also short, and cool summers will also be there. Obviously the precipitation will also be very low in this region. Okay, so why this is important? Because mainly because of this carbon sequestration property only. So how in this region they are actually trapping this carbon? So one, the slow decomposition rate. The decomposition rates are very low. So obviously decomposition rate are very low means the carbon emission will also be, or methane emission will also be very low. Okay, so that's one reason. And peat formation. Peat formation means peat will be that swampy regions will be the peat. Okay, so that formation will also be there in this wetland regions. It will be there. So that's also one of the reasons why this is there. And also the slow growing coniferous forests. Okay, something is slow growing means it will be able to trap more carbon. Okay, so that is also one of the reasons. And also this is not getting decomposed also. So obviously there is no carbon emission is also not happening. Okay, and other than that, why it is important? Because it's having a very unique biodiversity is there, like reindeer, wolves, Arctic foxes, migratory birds. So these are something which is not found in any other part of the world. So that's why this is becoming very much unique. And also it influences the climate also. How it is influencing the climate? Because not just the Arctic but the overall climate. For example, you might have heard regarding the jet streams and the polar vortex. Jet streams. Jet streams and the polar vortex. Okay, so based on this polar vortex and all, the entire, and even the jet streams itself, when it influences our monsoon also. Polar vortex also influences many things. Okay, so like that way it is having a very important role in this climatic regulation also. Okay, and also this is having a lot of high albedo also. Albedo means the reflection. The sunlight will be reflected. It won't be trapped. So again, that is also one of the reasons why the global warming will be less. Okay, it's not getting absorbed. The reflectivity will be high. Okay, so this is what is happening, and this point we have already discussed. What is this permafrost? Okay, so what went wrong? What is actually the present issue now? Why suddenly, or we cannot say suddenly, but still why this kind of role reversal is happening? One is 2003 there was an East Siberian fires in Russia. 2003 there was an East Siberian fire. This was one of the largest carbon releases ever in the history. We can say that ever in the history itself. So this ABC, this Arctic boreal zone, was not able to absorb these things which has happened. So that is one reason. And another one, again, another thing is 2012 Timmins wildfire was also near Canada. That was also one of the that also released large amounts of this carbon especially from the trees, and also this peat was also there. Peatlands were also there. From there also carbon got released. So all these things further pushed the ABC toward a net emission zone. Okay, so till then it was a net absorption. Now it slowly pushed towards the net emission zone. From here onwards, it is like going, the emission is shooting up. Okay, so these are two important wildfires that alone push this. Okay, it's not any other things which happen across the world. Obviously, the influences might have happened, but other than that, these are the two important events which push this, push the limits of this. Okay. All right. So we can see the percentage also. Alaska contributes to 44% of the new emissions, and Northern Europe contributes to 25% of the emissions, and Siberia contributes to 13% of the emissions. Okay, this is also very much important. So why is this ABC becoming a carbon source now? Carbon source. Now we understood why, how it became a carbon source. So why is it becoming a carbon source now? Because one, the thawing of the permafrost. Okay, the permanent frost, the frozen ground. Now it is becoming more, temperatures rise. It is getting thawed. So the carbon trapped inside that for centuries. We can say centuries. So that gets released. That's also one of the reason. And also methane, other gases like methane, more potent greenhouse gas. So that's also getting released. Okay. All right. So intensified wildfires, longer for the seasons is also happening. It's not like fire is coming and it will be staying for maybe one day and it will be going. It's not like that. It's prolonged wildfire. It will be going on for weeks and weeks. It will be going on. So again, longer season means it will be drying the soil. Drying the soil means more lighting will be coming. Again, more fires will be coming. This will be going on as a cycle itself. Okay. And also this organic rich peat layers will be topsoil, peat layers will be there. So that is also releasing a lot of carbon these days. Okay. So there is a change in the vegetation patterns also, because shrubs and grasses, so they are actually replacing the slow growing conifers. I've already mentioned that if conifers are there in the region, means the carbon, it will be helping in the carbon sequestration. But if shrubs and other grasses are coming, means it will not help in the carbon sequestration. It will become a normal process. Okay. And also the extended decomposition, the seasons warmer springs are coming, and autumns are also mean. So the soil will be staying active longer, so microbes will have time to break down this organic matter. So obviously methane gas will be released and other carbon dioxide gases will also be released. And also lastly, the reduced snow cover. So lesser snow means lower albedo. Albedo means the reflectivity will be there. So the ground will be absorbing all the heat. Instead of reflecting all the things, the ground will be absorbing all this heat. So soil becoming warmer, and it will be accelerating the microbial activity and again the carbon loss also. Okay. So this is what is happening with this Arctic boreal zone. Okay. Moving on to the next topic. This is related to a very important deal which India has signed. So that is related to the 63,000 crore deal of procuring 26 Rafale-M jets from France. It's a very important point, because these kind of technology adoption and all these things are very much important for the UPSC perspective. Okay. All right. So previous year question: how is S-400 air defense system technically superior to any other system presently available in the world? Okay. Rafale is also a French counterpart. So like that way it can be, questions can be asked. So, okay, let me ask you, why a navy need a fighter jet? This is not something which is under the possession of Air Force. This is something which is under the possession of Navy only. So why doesn't Navy need this fighter jets? Because modern naval warfare, this isn't just about submarine. We have a perception like it's a naval compartment, so submarines will be there, ships will be there. Not like that. It's a present day modern compartment. Even the Navy also need fighter jets. Modern naval warfare is not just about this. It's about air superiority above the ocean. If you have the superiority, for example, this ocean, if you have this control over this area, it will be the naval aircraft. Okay, so then you'll have a your power will be projected even beyond the borders also. Okay, so that's why India has taken this a big step in this direction. Okay. All right. So we'll see what is this related to this deal. So recently the Cabinet Committee on Security, CCS, will be discussing this. CCS also, they have cleared the deal, and the total cost is 63,000 crore for all this procurement. The total cost is 63,000 crore to procure 26 Rafale-M jets, 26 Rafale-M jet. So in that, 22 are single seater Rafale-M and 4 are twin cylinder trainer variant, and 22 single seater Rafale-M is also available. Okay, so the timeline will be the delivery begins 3.5 years after the signing and it will be completed by 6.5 years. So this is the timeline which will be having. Okay, all right, we'll see regarding the what is this Rafale-M. What is this Rafale-M? Okay, Rafale-M. It's a Rafale is there and also Rafale-M is also there. So what is this M? What is this M? So M means basically M is marine. So this is something which is for the marine operations. M. So this M stands for marine. Okay, M stands for marine. So basically it's a naval version. Basically it's a naval version of the Rafale fighter jet. Okay, so we have a Air Force version is also there, but this is a marine version. Okay, so that is a major key point here. Okay, so what are the capabilities of this? One is it is having multi-role combat aircraft. So what do you mean by multi-role combat? What is actually the multi-role? Because from air to air, it is having air to air attack and also air to ground, air to ground. Okay, air to air, air to ground, even anti-ship what capability is there, and also the reconnaissance capabilities are also like that. It's diversified. It's a multi-role combat aircraft and it is designed for carrier operable roles, designed for the carrier operable roles. Okay, so in this itself we have different varieties, like we have INS Vikrant is there. INS Vikrant means it's one of the carrier aircraft. Carrier means it will be carrying this aircraft. Okay, carrying this aircraft. So like that way, that is also one of the important features of this particular aircraft. Okay, and advanced avionics and weapon system. So these are the some of the important advanced avionics and weapon system we can find in this. Like for example, Scalp is a cruise missile. Scalp is a cruise missile, and this Exocet is a Scalp is a cruise missile. Exocet is a anti-ship missile. Anti-ship missile, and also Meteor is also very beyond visual range air to air. Okay, beyond visual range air to air. Okay, so this is Meteor. So like that way it is equipped with a lot of advanced avionics and weapon system, and this is already combat proven. This Rafale-M is already combat proven because this was under the control of French only. So the French Navy has already used in the combat zones like Libya, Syria, Afghanistan, and all. It has already used in this combat zone. So why does this deal matter to India? Because to boost Indian navies and air's power, current naval fighters. Okay, like as of now we are having this MiG to 29K that aircraft system, but it is becoming very old. It is aging, and as of now it is becoming unreliable also. Unreliable. We cannot rely because many accidents are happening with this MiG 29. Many pilots have lost their life also. So that is also one of the major reasons why we are shifting towards it, and also it's more compatible with the Indian aircraft carriers like Vikrant and all. It is more compact. So that is also one of the reasons why we are going with this, and also it is more stronger in this Indian Pacific region itself. It will make sure that we are having Indian Navy is also having a better what aircraft presence will be there in that area, and obviously we have very important ties with closer strategic ties with this France. Okay, even though yesterday the videos circulated regarding Emmanuel Macron has not shaken hands with Modi, so, like, but still diplomatically we are having better ties with France. So that is also one of the reasons. Okay, so who has approved this? It was approved by the Cabinet Committee on Security. It was approved by the Cabinet Committee on Security. So what is this Cabinet Committee on Security? Cabinet Committee on Security is this is an apex body. For example, we have the Cabinet Committee on Appointment System. So that will be appointing the top level officials. So like that way, whatever any apex decision related to the national security matters is going to take. So that will be done by this cabinet committee on security. So obviously it's a very top level body. So prime minister will be part and he will be the chairperson. Prime minister will be part of the committee and he will be the chairperson of this thing. Okay, obviously this is something related to defense. Security means defense, so defense would be there, and home minister, these are two important people who should be consulted, and external affairs minister is also needed, and finance minister is also needed. Okay, so you can see that whoever is required related to procurement and maybe installation, implementation, they are consulted. For example, this is a prime minister, he is the head of the government. Defense minister, this is something related to defense. A navy, okay, home minister, so obviously this might be used for this internal operations also. We have deals with the outside countries only, so external minister has to be consulted, and also this needs some money, so obviously finance minister also needs to be consulted. So like that way you can remember this, the members of this cabinet committee on security. Okay, so what is the function of this cabinet committee on security? Obviously all these things related to this procurements, defense acquisitions will be done by this cabinet committee on security only. Okay, so they manage the all these national emergencies, whatever national emergencies coming, whether it be war or whether it be any internal threat, everything will be done by this cabinet committee on security only. Okay, so anyway, this Rafale-M deal was cleared by the cabinet committee on security, so that signifies how important, how strategically important this deal on both Rafale is also for us. Okay, all right, so let's move on to the main practice question. Repo rate is a key instrument used by RBI to balance inflation and growth. Discuss how repo rate adjustment influence inflationary trends in Indian economy, especially in the current global economic context. So you can introduce by what is this repo rate and what is its role in this monetary policy. Like that we can introduce this, and after that what is asked here, it's a key instrument is by RBI to balance inflation. Discuss how this repo rate influence a inflationary trend. Okay, so you have to interlink with both repo rate as well as inflation. Okay, so explain how repo rate hikes curb this inflation and how rate cuts can fuel the inflation. So both sides you have to discuss, and mention the transmission mechanism, like how interest rates are being transmitted, that you can discuss, and maybe you can include the current context also, how the repo rate cut is aiming to revive the economy. Like that way you can include it. Okay, and in the conclusion you can summarize like how repo rate cut is effective in reviving the economy also. Okay, all right, so moving on to the prelims practice questions. So these are the prelims practice questions of yesterday's daily news analysis. So today's prelims practice questions of today's daily news analysis will be discussed in tomorrow's discussion. Okay, all right, so which of the following statements about genome and genome sequencing are correct? The genome is a complete set of genetic material in an organism encoded in DNA and is made up of 23 pairs of chromosomes in human. This is a uh, very important factual statement. So this statement is correct. First statement is correct. Genome sequencing involves determining the exact order of nucleotide bases, etc., in an organism's DNA, and helps in understanding genetic variations for medical, agriculture, and evolution. Again, this is also correct. Next one, Genome India project aims to sequence the genome of 1 lakh individuals. 1 lakh individuals, focusing primarily on genetic data from population in urban areas without considering diverse rural groups. Again, here the number is wrong. It is not 1 lakh. It is 10,000 only. This is 10,000. So this is correct. This is correct. This is wrong. So correct answer say 1 and 2 only. Okay. All right, next one, with reference to Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, consider the following statements. Okay, again, this is related to very important scheme, Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. Okay, all right. So loans under Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana are available only to women. Available only to women entrepreneurs from the rural areas. No collateral is required for loans up to 10 lakh under the scheme. Mudra is direct lending institution under Minister of Finance. Majority of the loan disbursed under Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana fall under the Shishu category. Okay, Again here it is written direct lending institution. Okay, so this statement is wrong. This statement is wrong. It is not only for the women entrepreneurs, not only for the women entrepreneurs who is eligible, that is who is eligible according to the category they are given, but 71% of the beneficiaries are women. So like that way, that statement is wrong. Okay, this statement is wrong. No collateral is required for this statement is correct. So Mudra is not a direct lending institution. It's not a direct lending institution. It's a refinance agency. Okay, so the statement is also wrong. Okay, so correct answer is 2 and 4 only. 2 and 4 is the correct answer. Next one related to BIMSTEC. Consider the following statements regarding the Bay of Bengal initiative of multi-sectoral technical and economic cooperation. All BIMSTEC member countries are located in South Asia. BIMSTEC was established in 1997 with the aim of promoting regional cooperation in various sectors. Pakistan and Maldives are the founding members of BIMSTEC. Okay, so recently the BIMSTEC summit has happened. BIMSTEC summit has happened. So things related to BIMSTEC is also there in the news. Okay, so statement 1. Not all BIMSTEC members are from South Asia. Myanmar, if you take Myanmar, Thailand, BIMSTEC has 7 members are there. So Myanmar and Thailand are from Southeast Asia. Okay, so members of South Asia, India is part of South Asia. Myanmar, Thailand are part of Southeast Asia. So like that, we have diverse membership is there. Okay, statement 2 is correct. It was established in 1997. That statement is correct. Statement 3 is also incorrect. Pakistan and Maldives are not members of BIMSTEC. They are members of SAARC. Why? Because India is focusing more on BIMSTEC so that the influence of Pakistan can be avoided. So obviously this statement is wrong. Pakistan is not part of. Yeah. So are located in South Asia. This statement is wrong. All BIMSTEC members are not. So this statement is correct. This is wrong. Pakistan is not a member. Okay, so this is also wrong. So correct answer is B. Too early. Okay, too early is a correct answer. All right. So these are the prelims practice questions of today's daily news analysis. So you can go to our website navigator.narayanias.com. So the link will be posted in the comment box. So there daily quiz tab will be there. You can open this tab. You can directly answer these questions there itself. Tomorrow we'll be discussing. Tomorrow in daily news analysis we'll be discussing these questions. Okay. 3 questions are there. Okay, this was a question which I have shown in the beginning of the session. It's something today is very important day related to the Champaran Satyagraha. Today is 108th, April 10th is the 108th anniversary of Champaran Satyagraha. So related to that, what is the significance of this Champaran Satyagraha? It was India's first independence war. It marked Gandhi's entry into Indian politics. It ended the British rule in Bihar. It introduced political violence. Okay, so the correct answer is B. It marked Gandhi's entry into Indian politics. So this is happening in 1917 only. So around that time only, 1915 only, Gandhi is coming back from South Africa. So Gandhi, after that, Gandhi went for an all Indian tour. So till then he was not part of the Indian politics or maybe the political scenario. So he's entering into the political scenario through a struggle only. That is his Champaran Satyagraha. So basically this is the first involvement of Mahatma Gandhi into Indian freedom struggle and to Indian political arena. So it was related to an issue with the Teen Katya system of the indigo farmers in Bihar. So maybe we can say that this is one of the beginning of the beginning of Gandhi as a mass leader in India. Okay. Alright, so with that note, we will conclude today's daily news analysis. Hope you have understood the 4 topics which we have discussed. Okay. Alright, so that's it for today. Thank you.